No wins at SideBite. I'll tell you all about it. Unfortunately, I entered 3 cars in box stock and 1 in tune class, and none of the cars won anything on the podium. It's a shame. So that's just the way the ball bounces this month. The 3 cars that I competed with, they were all plenty fast enough, no doubt, but unfortunately they all coursed out at inopportune times during the race. This one got to the finals. This was my primary car. This is my little Spider-Man 2099 mock frame. And yeah, I basically dialed it in to the track. The track is here. It looks, yeah, pretty easy looking, right? But it's actually very devilish. Yeah, there was a dragon back like earlier in the week, and it was converted over to this like separate hump kind of thing. So 2 separate humps rather than a dragon back. And then it's got that little tabletop, and that's where a fair number of cars were coursing out there, right after the tabletop into that right turn. And yeah, and so a lot of cars met their demise there. But yeah, this is lightweight, super fast, and in the finals, it was clearly ahead of everyone. And then in the final, or next to final lap, it was like, it just decided to corkscrew. Now, it just doesn't make sense to me. It went on a straightaway. There was some little divot that caused this to corkscrew. But, you know, like, that's just the way tracks are, right? Like, tracks have random variances in them. You can't always expect a track to be perfect. And sadly, when it was my turn to go over that portion of the track, instead of going straight, I corkscrewed. And I was like, yeah, that's so crazy. Yeah, like this was a super fast car. I had replaced the chassis on it because the chassis broke because of a head-on collision with another car a couple of months ago, and I just decided to just replace the chassis. And basically the soul of the previous Spider-Man 2099 is in this car. Everything but the chassis was kept. So the chassis itself, this mock frame chassis here, that was the thing that was new. Everything else, totally from the old car. And yeah, it's like I said, the soul of the previous car is in this car. And the motor that was in the previous car, I re-venomed it, and it's super fast, and that's why it was so fast on the track. I wish I had videos to show you, but I think anyone who participated in today's races can attest to the fact that this is really fast. Yeah, it's just, it wasn't meant to be today. So my teammate Chris, McBite teammate Chris, he won box stock. And yeah, he's like a really good student of Mini 4-wheel drive. He takes everything and he just like, he studies, he prepares. He's doing a lot more study and preparation than I'm doing in recent days, that's for sure. And he takes a lot of information from Joe, another teammate. And yeah, like with all of this knowledge that he's accumulating from various sources, he just makes it his own and takes it to the next level. Like, he's a very formidable racer, and anyone who's competed against him can attest to that fact. He's come so far, so quickly. It's unreal. Like, I thought I learned all this stuff very quickly, but he just like, it just like exponential learning curve for him. Like, he just like went straight up like a rocket. So very, very cool. And yes, congratulations, Chris. So this is my secondary car. This is the car that I really wanted to win, but I know that this was not as stable as this one. And the reason why it wasn't stable is because I actually didn't have a brake on this. So it was brakeless, and yeah, my black brake, I think I left it at home, and that's why I couldn't find it. So I had to find an alternate brake that would fit on the car, and I had this orange one. So yeah, but that didn't help me, right? It still coursed out at inopportune times. It was still certainly fast enough. It's just, yeah, I think I was like not quite as fast as someone else in the very final races for the quarterfinals. And so, yeah, I didn't make it, unfortunately. Like, that's a shame. And this one was my experimental car. I really wanted to get some sort of race experience with this car. And so I did not expect it to win anything. I just wanted to race it. I know that, well, there have been people who've seen how fast this car is. This is like, it's been described as a beast, a demon. It's got demon speed. So yeah, it has one of my super fast motors in there, 27,000 RPM. And yeah, if I juiced it up all the way, this would go careening around the track like there's no tomorrow. It's like really, really fast. And so I had to weigh this car down by adding this rear part here and adding also these little side decorations that come with the car. And I had to weigh it down so that it would stay on the track, because this VZ chassis car, very lightweight, there's not really any brakes on it, right? So you have to weigh the car down to keep it on the track. And the same philosophy holds with MA chassis in some cases. Like maybe you don't want to have a brake on it, and so you have to make sure that the car is stable. So I was going to race this one because this was a curious car to me. This was like my second fastest polycarb MA chassis car. And I saw a number of people racing one of these, and I was like, well, I don't want to be the one to like race the same car as other people, so I wanted to do different cars. That was my thinking, and so that's why I chose my tried and true red polycarb. And so yeah, at some point I'd love to win with this car. I don't know if it'll happen. Sometimes it's not stable enough, so sometimes it just courses out. And if I didn't have the brake on there, like I put the brake on there after the second or third round, and it became a lot more stable. If I didn't have the brake on there for the final 2 rounds, I think I just would have like coursed out each time. All of my box stock cars actually stayed on the track in practice tests. So I could have chosen any 2 or 3 cars from my fleet of cars. So I chose these 3 for various reasons. I know that this is my lightest, fastest car. I know that this is one that I would love to win with because I haven't won with it yet. Or did I? Maybe I won second place with it last, it was like a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember. It's all a blur to me. I got some second place ribbon and I forgot what car I won with. And and then there's this car, which hasn't won anything, but I would love for it to have more racing experience. Yeah, definitely. And there has been some chat about how some people flip this around upside down, and so then it would be illegal because it wouldn't clear the 1mm clearance gauge. Well, I've discovered a way to make it clear the 1mm clearance gauge, and I'm going to experiment with that. We're going to see how that goes. So yeah, it's a pretty slick trick. If you know what to look for, you can probably figure it out yourself. Very cool. So I have been putting bubble wrap in my slots here. And the reason why I do that, I only do that for box stock cars. So think about it. The front part of the car is the most vulnerable part of the car. The rollers are not as sturdy as the rear rollers. So when this is in transport in the back of your car, like in the trunk, and this whole thing is just sliding around back and forth, this thing is going to hit the sides of the case hundreds of times while you're driving. Hundreds. It's going to be like you're going to prematurely wear your box stock cars out if you don't have this kind of snug packaging material in there. So this protects it from hitting the side walls of the pit box hundreds of times. So yeah, there's got this little cushion effect right here. It keeps it snug. And yeah, that's like if you want to preserve the quality of the front parts of your box stock vehicles, just get this bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is cheap. You can just buy a whole bunch and you can cut it into little strips like what I've done here. It's like a long strip right here, and I just fold it a couple of times, maybe 3 times, and then I stuff it in the front of the car, right? So I'll show you a demo right here. I'll put this car in here like so, and then here this is like a wad of bubble wrap, and I just stick it right there in the front. And now this car like is hitting the bubble wrap here. It's cushioned. The rear is not so much a problem. The rear is always a lot more sturdy than the front. So I've done that with other cars too. Anything that I find to be very, very important, like I'll keep it in a separate compartment, and I've got bubble wrap inside. So here's my open class car, and I've got bubble wrap inside on the bottom part of the box, and the car goes right inside there in its own container. So yeah, pretty cool. Now, tune class cars, you don't have to worry about them as much. See, tune class cars, metal rollers, right? They're designed to last. So all that careening back and forth inside your pit box doesn't matter as much as bouncing these plastic rollers back and forth against the sides. Yeah, that's like I said, premature wear. So tune class, I didn't fare any better. I entered 1 car, and I had like a bear of a time trying to get my cars to stay on the track. It's weird. In practice runs, I was able to get cars to stay on the track, and then for some odd reason, after several other practice runs, they would then course out for whatever reason. Didn't make sense to me. But here was one car that was consistently staying on the track, and yeah, it just wasn't the fastest car in my fleet. So I chose this one. This was my only choice. I said, yeah, I just want to enter this one because this hasn't won in a while, and this hasn't competed in a while. And it'd be cool if it was able to win at SideBite, because this is in fact a slower car. And the great thing about this is not its speed, but its stability. This will likely not course out. Now, I did make it course out once, and that was because I removed all the damper weights on it. And so it had like no damper weights, and then it just coursed out. But then I started re-adding the weight, subtracting weight, so that it wouldn't be so heavy, because before I had these massively big dampers on the sides. Massively big. And I'll show you which ones they were. They were this one. So imagine this on the side. This is super, super duper big. It's the, what is it? The triple hamburger? Is it the triple hamburger? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's like 3 hamburgers. And they were on the sides here. And then I had heavy weights in the front and the rear. And so it was like a tank. It was built like a tank. It would move like a tank. It would move very slowly. And then I decided, hey, let's reduce the weight a lot. And so I started replacing things until I got to these little tiny weights right here. And that was just enough to keep the car on the track. And then it became competitive. Then it was fast enough, but it wasn't, well, not fast enough. It was faster, but not entirely fast enough to win against the speed demons I was racing against. So that's pretty sad that I couldn't get this any faster. I was trying various things like, well, maybe I can replace this body shell with, say, a mock frame body shell, because these are front-mounted engines, but this is a CFM, or not CFM, SFM chassis. So the mock frame from the FMA does not fit on this SFM chassis, unfortunately. And then I was trying other cowls, and they would just like hit the front part here, like they would extend beyond the front part of this cowl here for the Brocken Gigant. And the Brocken Gigant, it was like kind of made for this particular SFM chassis. So yeah, so I was just forced to use this. And yeah, I had to replace the batteries a lot. Every single time I raced, I had to make sure that they were pumped up to like 152 to 154. Yeah, and yeah, it's it's very finicky. And I had to make sure that everything was tight on here because things loosened up over time. So it's an angry little car, this little Brocken Gigant. And when you have things set right, it's going to be good for you, let's put it that way, because it does hug the track. And if you have a technical track where you want to hug the track, you want stability over speed, this is probably a good car for you. But if you want to totally win a race based on speed, this is not your guy or girl. This is like, it's an experiment. It's my Millennium Falcon. It's the ship that won that race in some short amount of time that Harrison Ford keeps, the character of Harrison Ford, Han Solo, kept on bragging about, that his ship like did the Kessel run in so many parsecs. That's what this is. So it's something to boast about when it actually does win. But most of the time, like the Millennium Falcon, it's not going to win. That's just the reality of it. But it's really cool to see these old SFM, CFM type chassis compete very well against the modern chassis. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately again, no wins, but maybe better luck next time, because there is some luck involved. So there's a lot of skill, but if you've already got the skills, then it's basically luck who wins. So somebody builds a more stable, solid car, and they get to keep the car on the track. They're luckier for this month. That's just how it is. So yeah, everybody, if you like this video, please slam the like button, subscribe to my channel, and you'll see more videos just like this one. Until next time, everybody, see you. Bye.